Turkey, officially the Republic of Türkiye, is a transcontinental country located mostly in Anatolia in Western Asia, with a smaller portion in eastern Thrace in southeastern Europe. It is bordered by Bulgaria and Greece to the west, Georgia, Armenia, Iran and Azerbaijan to the east, and Iraq and Syria to the south. It is surrounded by Cyprus and the Mediterranean Sea to the south, the Aegean Sea to the west, and the Black Sea to the north. The Sea of Marmara, along with the Istanbul Strait and the Canakkale Strait, separates Anatolia from Thrace, that is, Asia from Europe. In Turkey, which is officially a secular state, the majority of the population is Muslim. Ankara is the capital and second most populous city of Turkey. Istanbul, on the other hand, is the most populous city of Turkey, its economic and financial center, and also the most populous city in Europe. The first settlements on the lands of Turkey began in the Paleolithic era, after various ancient Anatolian civilizations, such as the Thracians in eastern Thrace, the Hittites, the Phrygians, the Lydians, and the Ionian civilization, founded by the Achaeans who fled from Greece as a result of the Dorian invasion. The Hellenistic period began with the reign and conquest of the Macedonian king Alexander the Great. Later, the Roman Empire and the Byzantine periods, when Anatolia was Christianized, were experienced respectively, with the Battle of Manzikert won by the Seljuk Turks against Byzantium in 1071. The Byzantine superiority in Anatolia was largely broken, and Anatolia was soon captured by Turkish beys dependent on the Seljuks, and Islamization and Turkification activities began on the lands of Anatolia. The Anatolian Seljuk Sultanate, centered in Konya, which soon established dominance over the other Turkish beyliks in Anatolia, ruled Anatolia until the Battle of Kozdag, which was lost against the Mongols in 1243. The Anatolian Seljuk state, which was weakened after the Mongol invasions in Anatolia, left its place to new Turkish beyliks in Anatolia. The Ottomans, who emerged as one of the Turkish beyliks in western Anatolia from the late 13th century onwards and gained independence, became a major power in the 14th century with their conquests in the Balkan lands, and also established dominance over the other Turkish beyliks in Anatolia. The Ottomans became an empire in 1453 when Mehmed II conquered Istanbul, putting an end to the Byzantine Empire. The empire reached its peak in the 16th century, especially during the reign of Suleiman the Magnificent, after the defeat in the Second Siege of Vienna in 1683 and the subsequent 15-year Holy League Wars. The Ottoman Empire's superiority against Europe came to an end. By the 19th century, the empire entered a serious modernization process called the Tanzimat, the first constitutional era, which began with the proclamation of the first written constitution in Turkish history and the opening of the parliament in 1876. It lasted until 1878, but in 1908, the second constitutional era was declared and the constitution was reinstated. However, the reforms could not prevent the dissolution of the empire. The empire, which joined World War I in 1914 alongside the Central Powers, was defeated as a result of the war and accepted the condition of the surrender of all armies on October 30th, 1918, and was subsequently occupied by the Allied powers. As a result of the occupation of Istanbul by the Allied powers on March 16, 1920, and the arrest and exile of some members of parliament, the Grand National Assembly of Turkey was established in Ankara on April 23, 1920, under the leadership of Mustafa Kemal Pasha, with the closure of the Chamber of Deputies. The Turkish War of Independence, waged under his leadership against the occupying forces, was successful, and with the abolition of the Sultanate by the Grand National Assembly of Turkey on November 1, 1922, the Ottoman monarchy and the Ottoman Empire were consigned to history. The Republic was proclaimed on October 29, 1923, by Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, the country's first president, after the abolition of the Caliphate and the exile of the Ottoman dynasty on March 3, 1924, a series of revolutions were carried out, which would play an important role in the formation of modern Turkey. The occupation of Istanbul, Izmir, and other Ottoman territories by the Allied powers after the Armistice of Mudros, signed at the end of World War I, led to the emergence of the Anatolian movement, the Turkish War of Independence, aimed at nullifying the conditions imposed by the Treaty of Sèvres and preserving the integrity of the country's territories within the boundaries of the National Pact, was launched with the landing of Mustafa Kemal Pasha, one of the prominent figures of the Battle of Çanakkale, in Samsun on May 19, 1919. The Turkish regime, centered in Ankara, which declared itself the legitimate government of the country on April 23, 1920, began to formalize the legal transition from the old Ottoman to the new Republican political system. The Ankara government engaged in armed and diplomatic struggle. Between 1921 and 1923, the Armenian, Greek, French, and British armies were expelled from the country. The military advance and diplomatic success of the Ankara government culminated in the signing of the Armistice of Medanya on October 11, 1922. The handling of the Çanakkale crisis between the United Kingdom and the Ankara government led to the collapse of the David Lloyd George government on October 19, 1922, and Canada's gaining political autonomy from the United Kingdom. On November 1, 1922, the Grand National Assembly of Turkey abolished the Sultanate, and the 623-year-old monarchical Ottoman Empire was officially removed from the stage of history. The Treaty of Lausanne, signed on July 24, 1923, in place of the Treaty of Sèvres, ensured the international recognition of the new Turkish state, which was a continuation of the Ottoman Empire. The new treaty led to Turkey's sovereignty over its own lands. The Allied occupation of Turkey ended with the withdrawal of the last Allied troops from Istanbul on October 4, 1923, and the entry of Turkish troops into the city on October 6, 1923. On October 29, 1923, the Republic was officially proclaimed in Ankara, the new capital. Following the Treaty of Lausanne, 1.1 million Greeks in Turkey and 380,000 Turks in Greece were displaced under the terms of the treaty as part of the population exchange between Turkey and Greece. Mustafa Kemal, the founder and first president of the Republic of Turkey, carried out numerous reforms aimed at transforming the old, religiously based and multinational Ottoman monarchy into a Turkish nation-state to be governed as a parliamentary republic under a secular constitution. As part of these reforms, the Sultanate and subsequently the Caliphate were abolished. Women were granted the right to vote and be elected. The Latin alphabet was adopted, and many other changes were implemented. The Grand National Assembly of Turkey granted him the surname Ataturk in 1934 with the surname Law. Some predominantly Islamist groups in the country, as well as Kurdish and Zaza tribes with feudal structures led by landowners known as Agas in the eastern regions, objected to these reforms, and the Sheikh Zed and Menemen revolts, which broke out due to opposition to secularism, and the Dersim Rebellion, which broke out due to land reform, were suppressed by Turkish security forces. Turkey has a unitary administrative structure, which is one of the most important factors shaping Turkish public administration. Considering the three powers in the basic functioning of the state, legislative, executive, and judicial, local governments have hardly any power. The administration of provinces and other units comes after the central government. Local governments are established only to provide services in their respective areas. Governors are in charge of provinces, and district governors are in charge of districts. In addition to the governor and district governor, there are other high-level officials appointed by the central government and mayors. The capital of Turkey is Ankara. The largest administrative units of the country are provinces, and there are 81 provinces. These provinces are divided into districts with a total of 973 districts. In addition, the country is divided into 7 regions and 21 subregions, which do not have administrative significance, taking into account geographical, demographic, and economic conditions. Turkey is a unitary state with a representative democracy operating under a multi-party system. The current constitution was approved by referendum in 1982 and establishes the structure of the government, while also outlining the ideals and standards of the state. The Constitution also sets out the state's responsibility to its citizens and the rights and obligations of the people. In the Turkish political system, citizens are subject to 3 levels of government: national, provincial, and local. The duties of local government are generally divided between municipal administrations and districts. For administrative purposes, Turkey is divided into 81 provinces. Each province is divided into districts with a total of 973 districts. The state is organized by a system of separation of powers as defined by the Constitution and is divided into 3 branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. Legislative branch. The legislative power rests with the unicameral Grand National Assembly of Turkey, TBMM, which is composed of 600 members elected by proportional representation from 87 electoral districts. The members serve 5-year terms. Executive branch. The executive branch is headed by the President of the Republic, who is directly elected by the people for a 5-year term. The President appoints and dismisses ministers and senior government officials and is responsible for implementing the policies of the government. Judicial branch. The judicial branch is independent of the other 2 branches and is responsible for interpreting and applying the laws of Turkey. The highest court in the land is the Constitutional Court, which has the power to review the constitutionality of laws passed by the legislature. The Turkish political system is based on the principle of popular sovereignty, which means that the people are the ultimate source of political power. Citizens exercise this power through elections and referendums. The Turkish political system is also based on the principles of secularism, democracy, and the rule of law. .600 members of parliament are elected to the Grand National Assembly. Each member of parliament represents a constituency for a term of 5 years. The distribution of seats in the parliament is allocated to the provinces in accordance with the census. The president is directly elected by the people for a term of 5 years. The president cannot run for re-election after 2 terms, 10 years. If the parliament decides to renew elections during the president's second term, the president may run for 1 more term. Parliamentary elections and presidential elections are held on the same day. The Constitutional Court consists of 15 members. A member is elected for a term of 12 years and cannot be re-elected. Members of the Constitutional Court must retire when they reach the age of 65.